It says something to me, as somebody who wrote a Trump book in the past, that he, thinks about a young woman who suffered a grievous crime, and he sees her as 17. He makes her 17. To me, that says something about his psychology, which is gross and weird. He imagines her as a teenager when she's a 25-year-old woman. He doesn't even know the woman's age or anything about her, and then lies about having talked to her family. He would never talk to her family. She's Latina. She's the kind of person he wants to deport. And if they build a wall, if he ever manages to do it, it will be to keep American women in, to keep American women from leaving The Handmaid's Tale.
Donald Trump has no relationship with anyone that he uses or exploits as his victims. He would have barely known the name. He would have read it on the piece of paper. He knows nothing about their lives. He didn't call the family. The family testified to that. I believe the family. But what Donald Trump is doing, he's telling the same lies that every wave of migrants in the United States has always been subjected to. When the Jews came, when the Germans came, when the Italians came.
The Irish.
When the Irish came. All of these different groups, we were told the same thing, that we're going to lose our culture, we're going to lose our language, they're going to drive down wages, then the crime's going to go up. And exactly the opposite has happened. In fact, we don't all go to Mass on Sunday. We don't all speak Italian or German. We don't drink beer in the pubs on every I'm Irish, I can say this.
Unless we have the time.
And we're not, St. Patrick's Day, we all do.
Yeah, we do.
And we're not going to be facing Mecca saying prayers in Spanish 3 times a day. It's not going to happen, because what happens is all of these, and I believe that we are not a multicultural society. I think we are a unified cultural society. That's what we should be as Americans. But we have many traditions. And the economy has always gotten better. The food has gotten better.
For real.
And the fact is that without migrant labor, and we want legal immigration. I blame both parties for the problem at the border, because the border needs to be fixed, and neither parties have the political will to do it.
They just did try to do it, and Trump told them not to. And some Republicans wanted to pass it.
You do not eat without immigrant labor.
That's right.
You do not have houses without immigrant labor.
That's right.
You do not have highways or bridges without immigrant labor.
That's right.
And by the way, when you're my age, you start to think about retiring on Social Security and Medicare. And without immigrant labor, there's no Social Security or Medicare. Right. Yeah. In fact, we need more migrants to come to the United States.
Absolutely.
And their crime rate is lower than the average American.
In fact, to make it even more precise, Cornell, in the places where Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis have been sending migrants to, crime actually has gone down. So crime has actually gone down in the places where they're sending the migrants, right? Exactly. And to Rick's point, literally, immigrants come in, right, and you start working in that hard labor, and then eventually people move up. And so they're no longer doing the chicken plucking plants. But if somebody's got to be in the chicken plucking plant, it's these same people, the people on the bridge.
Children, right? Because we're not allowing legal immigration or immigration as a whole. We now are deciding to lower the child labor laws so that they can work in the
factories. So the question is, how do you get that through in a campaign?
Well, one, you've got to actually make it the campaign, right? Yeah, right. And there are so many other issues that everyone wants to talk about, make it the campaign. Look, I think for too long we've given Middle America a pass on racism. And let's be clear, Middle America will take a pass on racism because it's not something they want to deal with, right? Yeah. Not something they want to say, I have skin in that game. We got to make clear to Middle America that you actually do have skin in that game, right? A more divided America, a more racist America is not going to benefit you and your children, right? America's not going to win the future, and when we're fighting and we're more divided. So yes, the economy is important. The economy is always important, right? I don't know an election where the economy is not important. Yes, the economy is important, but it's the racism too, stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And for Middle America, they have to make a decision, not only sort of from an economic standpoint, which candidate is better for me economically, which candidate is better for me around education issues, but which candidate is, quite frankly, better for America when you think about healing. If you want to heal America, and you want America to be prosperous, well, then you can't vote for someone who calls immigrants poison. You can't vote for someone who talks about, Klan members and white supremacists as good people.
That's right. And the reality is most Americans, even if they might have a little ism in them, they sure do want their lawn done, and they like that guy who's building their house, and they want their food, and they want their cheap food. Europe is the case where you have an aging European society that desperately needs immigrants in order to survive. Do they want to be that?
Right.
Well, we won't survive economically without migrants.
No, and this is the thing, is that what I always like to say is that we believe in the fact that different individuals came to this country, because in that they became the essence of the American dream, that they can be self-realized here in the United States, not in their home country. That's a beautiful thing. It's also our superpower.
Yes.
And you don't have to, don't take my word for it. During the 2016 election, the Russians were meddling around race because they knew that that is our Achilles heel. So we have to wisen up. Our strength in the 21st century is recognizing that our asset is our human capital that come from everywhere. And we can't take his bait.
And the reality is, Rick, the Democrats had their turn, for a good century of being the Klan party and found a way to work their way out of it. Once black voters moved in, there was white flight into the Republican Party. As somebody who has worked in Republican politics,
I've tried
pragmatically,
to get them out for a long time.
How do you back them off of it? Because the thing is, I think to your point, Cornell, people will take a little racism with their tax cuts if that's what they don't mind.
It's a loser. See, the thing is, I ask people all the time. I'll say, what do Nancy Pelosi and Rudy Giuliani have in common? Which is actually now a funny question. But almost never do people say they're Italian Americans. They just don't think of it.
Right.
And there'll come a time when you'll say Hernandez and Rodriguez, and I don't know, what do they have in common? Well, they're both Latino names. And it's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Why? Because the Latinos are particularly from, it's not Mexico anymore. It's all Central America.
It's Venezuela. It's Colombia.
They're running for their lives.
Yes.
They're escaping from gang violence.
Yes.
And people don't run with their families and children to come across the country.
That's
In fact, the reason they have a lower crime rate is because they are trying to stay out of trouble.
They're safe. And also they have, and the thing is I think people don't talk about is that a lot of the migrants who are coming here are paying people that they now owe. They have to work. They're not coming here to sit around.
By the way,
they've got to work.
Their children are going to be doctors, lawyers, and congressmen.
Exactly right.
But isn't that what people are mad about? But isn't that what, but isn't that what folks are mad about? Is that their children are going to be doctors, lawyers, which is why they're saying no DEI, we'll just lock them out. I mean, it's sort of a whole...
But that's not leveling with the American people. Do you know that there are parts of Arkansas where 60 to 70% of the student body are Latino? In Arkansas.
Wow.
It's the same state where they are trying to lower the child labor laws and privatize education. There's a thread happening.
Yeah.
And if we do not wise up to the future of this country, that it is multicultural or culturally different...
It's a salad bowl, not a melting pot.
No, but there's something beautiful about it, right? And it is literally our
people who don't want to immigrants
are Democrats messaging properly on it.
Well, but to that point, hell no. But to that point, look, it was Reagan. I remember when Reagan said, you can come from anywhere and be an American.
That's right.
It shouldn't be. It's not just a democratic ideal, but look, here's the thing. No, they're not, because they're afraid of it, right? And we know progressives are afraid to lean in. Heck, most of our progressive friends would much rather talk about a class than race. And I told one of my progressive friends when trying to make a distinction between class and race, I don't care how much money my granddaddy had in North Carolina.
That's right.
I don't care how much education he had.
Didn't matter.
He was still N-word,
yes,
right?
Correct.
Regardless of how much education he had, right? So we've got to face this head on.
That's it.
It's the economy, but it's also racism.
Confront or perish. Maria Teresa Kumar, that's our democracy. That's it. Confront or perish. Maria Teresa Kumar. Cornell Belcher. Rick Tyler. This looks like America. Hate it. Get mad. Stay mad.